Hidden in the forest of Yuban Ratchathani stands a temple that most people don't even know exists. No crowds, no ticket booths, just stone and silence. This is Prasat Chom Phra, a Khmer sanctuary built around 1,000 years ago, during a time when this region was under the influence of the Angkor Emperor. Long before modern borders, this land was part of something much bigger, built from laterite and sandstone. The structure may look simple, but every block was cut and placed with precision. No cement, no modern tools, just skill from another era. The doorway once framed religious ceremonies, likely dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva. Laterite stone, or in Thai, Silaleng. The temple here at Prasat Chom Phra is built primarily from laterite stone, a material widely used across the Khmer Empire more than 1,000 years ago. Laterite isn't just ordinary rock. It begins as iron-rich earth in tropical soil. When it's first quarried, it's surprisingly soft, almost clay-like. That made it easier for Khmer builders to cut into blocks. But once exposed to air, it hardens. The iron inside the stone oxidizes. It reacts with oxygen, and over time, it turns almost concrete-like in strength. That's why these walls are still standing after millennium. Now, look closely at the surface. You'll notice deep cavities and irregular holes. Some of these are completely natural. Laterite forms with air pockets, root cavities, and softer mineral sections trapped inside it. Over centuries, rainwater seeps in. The stone absorbs moisture. It expands and contracts with heat and humidity. As it swells and dries, the weaker areas slowly erode away. What remains is this honeycomb texture, iron-rich sections resisting the weather, while softer material disappears. But not every hole here is natural. Khmer builders use wedge-splitting techniques when quarrying stone. They cut channels, inserted wooden wedges, then soaked them with water. As the wood absorbed moisture, it expanded. The pressure cracked the stone cleanly along its grain. Some of the deeper, more deliberate cavities may be traces of that process. So what you're seeing here isn't just damage. It's a combination of geology, engineering, and 1,000 years of tropical climate working together. At smaller regional temples like this one, the laterite wasn't polished smooth. It was functional, structural, honest, which means today we can still see the raw story of how it was built. Khmer builders used wedge splitting. They cut shallow slots or drilled small holes. Wooden wedges were inserted. Water was poured in. The expanding would crack the stone. This leaves round or oval cavities, sometimes aligned in rows, often on block faces or edges. In many Khmer ruins across Azan, these marks are still visible. Lifting positioning holes, possible. Some blocks show intentional recesses used to insert wooden poles for lifting or maneuvering blocks into position, more common in larger temples, but not impossible in smaller sanctuaries. Structural timber integration, less common here. In some Khmer structures, small holes were used for temporary scaffolding beams, wooden support during construction. However, small rural prasats typically relied more on external scaffolding rather than embedding beams into laterite. Natural laterite porosity, definitely present, even at official excavated Khmer sites in Thailand and Cambodia. Archaeologists note laterite naturally contains cavities, root voids, iron concentration pockets. Over 1,000 years, erosion enlarges these dramatically. So what you're seeing is almost certainly a mix of original stone porosity, construction modification, centuries of tropical weathering. Standing here, it's hard to imagine the ceremonies, the voices, and the incense smoke that once filled this space. Now it's just wind in the trees. Places like this sit quietly across northeastern Thailand, unnoticed by most people driving past. They remind us that history here runs far deeper than many realize. Most small Khmer brick/laterite prasats in this region, 10th, 12th century, were Shaivite dedicated to Shiva. Why? The majority of provincial Khmer sanctuaries were built to house a linga, symbol of Shiva. Central tower layout with a single sanctuary chamber is typical of Shiva worship. Most likely, Vaishnavite temples, Vishnu, often show more narrative sandstone carvings, which smaller rural sites usually lack. Unless there's a surviving lintel showing Vishnu imagery, Garuda, Vishnu reclining, etc., statistically, it was most likely Shaivite. That means the inner chamber probably once housed a stone linga on a pedestal. Again, most likely, or not, let me know in the comments your thoughts.